Hey everyone, so today I want to talk about the first series of Law & Order UK. A couple of weeks ago, maybe quite a long time ago actually by the time this video gets uploaded, I did a video about Law & Order UK in general, more of an observation video than a review because I hadn't seen it all and I'd only seen bits, but it was kind of okay, I just became addicted to this. And not long after I did that, I went and bought the Season 1 box set, and I've watched it all. I finished watching it last night, and I'm obsessed with Law & Order now. I cannot wait to go and watch the second series and the third and the fourth. The fifth is on just now, or is it the sixth just now? Goodness, they're quite far on and I've only just started. I've got a lot of catching up to do. So I thought I would talk about the first season. I did contemplate doing a separate review for each video, as I do with Freema and Doctor Who and things, but I thought, no, that will annoy a lot of you incredibly if you're not Law & Order fans. So I thought I would just talk about the series as a whole, and then it'll kind of limit down my videos a little bit, but still give me an excuse to talk about it. So for those of you who haven't seen Law & Order, it's a crime detective drama, airs on ITV, absolutely sensational. So the DVD cover is very attractive, you've got Freema on the front there, really lovely. The inside is double disced, so if you check that out, it's double disced. And how great is that? Yvette Fielding's on the front of that. I'm a most haunted fan, so forgive me. The discs are very pretty as well. As you can see there, this is a 15. Just start pointing it out before I do forget, in case somebody comes running after me, telling me that I told their young children to watch Law & Order. So I've written down all the episodes, their titles and things, because I'm not very good with putting names to episodes, even with friends and things. I'm sometimes a bit dodgy with that. So I've written down the episode names and I'll take you through them. This aired in 2009, by the way, so it's a couple of years old, but not too bad. Okay, so the first one we have is Care, and the baby's corpse is found. And they find out who the corpse belongs to. And they realise that somebody's been fiddling with the alarms, the gas alarms, the monoxide alarms in a building. And there's a lot going on there. Why are these batteries out of these alarms? Why did this baby die? Was this baby meant to be killed, or was it just a warning? What's going on there? It's very an emotional episode because to start off with, they're blaming the mother for the death of the baby. Is it the mother's fault? Is it the sister's fault? Is it somebody else in the building's fault? Was it just a genuine accident? There's a lot of questions which need answering, and obviously when you've got a baby involved, it's really an upsetting story. But it's really good. It flowed beautifully from start to finish. Obviously when you watch on DVD, you don't have the adverts, so it was complete 45 minutes of just perfection, really gripping, really engaging, lots of new discoveries along the way. And for a pilot episode for the UK series, it was really, really good. Obviously I'd seen other episodes prior to this one, so I knew what it was about, but it does give a really good indication as to what Law & Order as a whole is about. So that's great. The second one is Unloved, and a 13-year-old boy is found dead, which is never a good way to... It's never a good thing, is it? And there's a lot of blame put on different people. There's blame put on his stepfather. This boy's in care, but he obviously knows where his stepfather lives still. There's a lot of blame for his stepfather doing it, but did his stepfather kill him? Then we find out that it could possibly have been his friend and fellow fostered brother, if you like, Jono. It could have been Jono doing it, and then we find out that it probably was Jono, and then there's a lot of Jono thinks he's a really, really evil child, because his mother doesn't love him. His mother calls him a monster, and that's not a really good thing. Yes, maybe, so what if the kids killed somebody? You do not degrade them in a way that will ruin their entire life. Yeah, you'll be put in a young offenders institute or something, but you should never ever call a kid a monster, because they will believe that and they will lack self-esteem completely. There are other ways to punish children. That's not it. Really, really great episode. Richard Whisker is in that one as well, who plays Liam in Truth Speaker Returns, which is great. So great casting there as well. And just a really heartfelt episode, because you kind of feel sorry for him. It's not that he didn't know he was doing wrong, because he was old enough to understand what was wrong and right. But you did kind of feel sorry for him because he was also a victim as well. So it was kind of really confusing. You didn't really know how to feel. It worked really well though. Number 3 is Vice. And this is a really, really great episode. An ex-Vice officer was found dead in his car. And it turned out that it looked to start off with like it was a prostitute who killed him. And that's a running theme. There's never any sort of turning away from the prostitutes. It's clear that he was killed by a prostitute. However, it's not. It turns out early on that it wasn't a street prostitute, but it was actually a high-class escort. that first of all got me really excited, which is a really weird thing to say, but because I'm a fan of Secret Diary of a Call Girl, I love looking into the world of high-class escorts because I find it really exciting. It's not something I would ever want to delve into. It's not something I ever plan on doing, but I find it really fascinating to learn about. So that really brought in that aspect, and I found it quite interesting. Whereas when you were talking about street hookers, I'm like, don't care. So that was really interesting. A lot of surprises along the way. One thing made it go off in my brain when she said something. This is a big spoiler. So if you don't want to know what happens, stop watching this video until you've seen the episode. And then if you've seen the episode, stay watching and you can share your thoughts. But if you haven't seen it, go away, watch it, come back, happily take part in the video. When she said that they went for a spot or something to eat or whatever she said in Selfridges, they said that lipstick was only found in Selfridges. It's her! So that was a massive giveaway straight away, which I kind of enjoyed because I got that sense of glory before the coppers actually realised, before the detectives put two and two together. I felt really proud that I did it first. Obviously it was intended that way, but at the same time I'm also annoyed that they revealed who it was technically so early on. But it was fine. Really, really great episode, one of my favourites in the series. Number 4 is Unsafe. And David Aykroyd's body was found on a beach. Well, it was a building side beach. A guy had a metal detector and he was digging and he found his body. Ugh, gross sight. And Slade had been in prison for it many years ago, but he was imprisoned because he was slit in the throat and buried in Chelsea. Whereas this body of David Aykroyd had been shot in the head and was buried somewhere else near Canary Wharf. So things didn't work out. So was Slade wrongly imprisoned, or what's going on? So Slade was released on bail to be retrialed now that the body had actually been found, because he was in prison without the body being found. And it's the whole thing, is Slade going to get let off, or is Slade actually going to be found as still being the murderer? What's going on there? I don't like Slade as a character. This episode I think was very slow progressing because it wasn't as gruesome as some of the others. There wasn't as many shock revelations as some of the others. It just wasn't as detailed, I think. Slade was a very cocky character. Because he'd been in prison for like 8 or 9 years or something, he'd basically studied the law. So he represented himself when he was retrialed. He knew basically more than the detectives did because he spent literally every second of his time in prison studying the law, whereas obviously the detectives do have social lives as well. So he was a very annoying character. The outcome of it I wasn't happy with. The episode itself worked really well, and there wasn't any problems with the episode. I just would have liked to have the character have had a different outcome. But it was okay, a really good episode all the same. Number 5 is Buried, and a 20-year-old skeleton of an 8-year-old boy was found in the basement of like an apartment building. And they realise quite quickly on who this boy is. And then they go and have to try and find out where his mother is, because he was reported missing and he was never ever found. And they have to go and speak to the mother, and then they have to try and find out who this killer was now, because the killer of this boy, well, they couldn't say the killer, but say whoever the abductor of the boy would have been. They obviously couldn't really they couldn't charge anybody with his murder because there was never a body. They couldn't charge anybody with his abduction because they couldn't prove he was abducted. You know, for all they knew, he could have wandered off, fell in the river and drowned or anything. You know, there was no solid evidence to prove that the boy was missing because of somebody else. But now they have the body, they have to find out who it is. And early on, I thought it was their first suspect. I genuinely thought it was the first person. But when they said it was somebody else, and then obviously who was arrested for it, I was shocked. I genuinely didn't think it was going to be them. I thought it was going to be somebody else. But then I realised how old she would have been at the time, and that wouldn't have made sense. So I was very thrown off track with this one a lot. There was a lot of things which made me completely change my opinions all the time, which is really good. It's really nice when an episode can keep you on your feet and keep you guessing, and that's a really beautiful episode. Obviously a really sad episode, because obviously there are children who have been missing for years, whose bodies may never be discovered, or whose bodies may be discovered, and it's a case of, you know, I hope none of your kids ever have to go missing or anything, but if they do, it's like, would you rather never know whether they're dead or alive, so you've always got the hope that they've got a really happy life somewhere else, not knowing what's happened to them, or would you rather they were no longer with us for peace of mind? It's something I hope nobody really ever has to go through, and I know people do have to go through it, and it's such a sad thing, but it's really emotional. Number 6 is Paradise, and there was a huge, massive fire in this club called Paradise, and it's a club where all the Turkish immigrants, a lot of the illegal immigrants went to, and this building was torched. and they have to try and find out who did it. First of all, 17 illegal immigrants were killed. A lot of people were injured, burned, things like that. Very, there was burned, literally burned corpses where they were just black. And it's like black and crispy, and it's like, that's gross. But, it's things happen like that, and you have to find out who did it, and there's a lot of investigating going on. There's a heavy, sometimes they'll have a story and you just have to try and find out ways to lead it. Whereas this one, there's continuous investigating, loads of different angles they have to look at, loads of things they think are right, then they're thrown off track and it's wrong, and then things that they thought couldn't have been possible turn out to be possible. A lot of things to discover in this episode. Very, very interesting, and really not the outcome I expected. There's not like a big shock revelation at the end. It's like, it just concludes, which I think is nice, because it's a really good episode and it works really, really well. It's done in a sensitive way, but at the same time, they do sort of impact on the seriousness of illegal immigrants and the people who smuggle them over. So there's quite a lot going on there, a lot to get your head around, but it's a really great episode. The only thing that makes me feel sick is the fact that I'm a tiny bit pyrophobic. I used to be incredibly pyrophobic. I'm kind of keeping it at bay now, but basically, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a big fear of fire. I was watching this one last night at like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. Not the best time to scare yourself. Silly. I was going to use a different word there. But regardless of that, it is a good episode. Then we have the last one, which is just titled Alesha. Alesha is obviously the name of the character of Freema's character. That didn't come out right, but it's just titled Alesha. And she goes to see a gynecologist, and it's very early on that you can see that this gynecologist is a bit of a pervert. So she wants to get, him trialed. She wants to get him arrested for being minging, basically. And after he makes the initial pass to Alesha, she is a bit shaken up, but she's like, there's not enough evidence to get him trialed or anything. So she goes back, and she takes a video camera, she puts it in her bag, but we don't know this until afterwards. And she goes back thinking he's just going to make another pass at her, nothing that's like going to ruin the rest of her life or anything, and she'll get that on tape, and then she can get him trialed. But then he actually drugs her and rapes her, and she gets it on tape. But then still, that might not even be enough evidence, because he can easily just say, well, she said she wanted to be drugged, she drugged herself. Because obviously the drugs are in the water, so they can't really prove that he'd given her drugs. So it's kind of like really irritating, because I adore Alesha as a character. I want her to win every case. I don't want that to happen to her. I don't want that to happen to anybody. And it's like, I want this guy to go down for life. I just hated that character. It was a love-to-hate relationship because I really liked what he brought to the episode, but as a human being, I wanted to punch him. I really felt for Alesha. I felt really sorry for her. I just wanted to give her a hug, really. It was really horrible to watch, but a really great episode, and obviously it speaks a lot of truth. There are obviously a lot of women who go through this sort of thing, who need to speak out, and it did stress the fact that you need to speak out, otherwise if you don't, he will move on to somebody else. So it's kind of like quite an emotional episode as well. But it flows really beautifully. So that is your 7 episodes. They are all absolutely fantastic. If I had to pick a favourite, I'd say either Unloved, Vice, Buried, or Alesha. I'd say those 4 are my favourites. The other 3 are good, but they're my sort of favourites. There are a bunch of features on there. You get to tour the set. There's interviews with the cast. There's audio commentary. There's loads of little different sort of features on there. They can all be read there, but you can go and watch them. They're really great, really interesting. I did like them, but they're not as great as the episodes themselves, because the episodes are just what really makes it. As I said, they are 45 minutes long each, or like an hour if you're watching actually on the TV, which an hour is brilliant. You have Lewis, which is 2 hours, which is a bit unique, but it's good. Yeah. So I really, really do love this incredibly. I can't wait to get the second series. And then I'll watch all that and then review that. Yeah, but please feel free to leave your thoughts and comments on Law & Order UK Series 1. Or just the series as a whole if you like. Obviously the cast is this. You have Jamie Bamber, you have Bradley Walsh, Freema Agyeman. All just absolutely brilliant. Bill Paterson. Love them all incredibly. They are just perfect. Yeah, and I actually prefer, believe it or not, I'm a big, big, big Doctor Who fan. But I prefer Freema as Alesha than as Martha. So, yeah, that's how good it is. Please feel free to leave comments on this or anything else, and that's it for just now. So I'll see you all next time. Bye!